Hey guys, this is Study and welcome to Comic Space. And today we have in quite a major update, but also in very interesting one, as it gives an insight of about how Marvel Studios is perceiving their X-Men reboot to start lay down all of the groundwork towards the next saga, which we all are presuming to be the Mutant Saga. So, in major update coming from in major industry insider Daniel RPK, and again, if you have been following our channel or have been part of the rumor mill, you know we like to give him a lot more reverence than any other industry insider. Also, he have a quite an impeccable track record as well, where he has simply stated that Marvel Studios is looking forward to Mr. Sinister as their big bad for their X-Men reboot. So, in major update that we need to talk about this, and we are going to circle back to this, but another thing that I want to talk about, and when we had our initial update about the X-Men reboot development, and I think it was like in 6 or 7 months ago or something like that, it came from Deadline in a major article where they stated this: as deal been in place with the Writer Guild, Marvel Studios have started to aim at setting the writers room. As the sources tells the Deadline that Marvel Studios is going to start setting up writers meetings this fall, which was 2023, for their most anticipated project, the X-Men reboot, as there is no rush to fill up the position as the film hasn't been dated yet. So I think it has been a quite good few months since we had that initial update and Marvel Studios started to actively working on their X-Men reboot. And again, I know it is still in quite an early process, and I don't think so they have gotten to the point where they have confirmed the writers, directors, and then we are going to have storyboard and casting. So there's a long way, and obviously there's a long way till we head into the Mutant Saga. But what it means, we have got to the point where Marvel Studios have an outline of how the whole thing is going to look like, how they are going to shape up their Mutant Saga, and I think that is the major revelation that we have today by choosing the big bad for their reboot, and that is the Mr. Sinister. So as we are in 2024, which is looking to be an homecoming of the mutants and the homecoming of the X-Men to the 616 continuity of the MCU with X-Men 97 and Deadpool and Wolverine. So again, as we are talking about X-Men 97, so in that series as well, we are going to see a lot of Mr. Sinister in season 1, probably in season 2 as well, and presuming that the season 3 will indeed happen, so we are actually going to see a lot more of the X-Men in the animated side of the Marvel Studios, and I think that just works very well to build these characters. And it is nothing like they're actually building anything up. With the X-Men 97, they're literally starting from where they have left it. So obviously X-Men 97 is not going to play that much of a big role in the live action Mutant Saga, but again I think we will have quite an introduction to all of these characters back again with Marvel Animation banner. So right now, as I stated, we are in still a very early process, but again we have got to the point where it is quite enough to figure the writers, directors, and to start with all of the casting. And given that the feature length X-Men film, not in just in mutant or in anything something just in very adjacent to X-Men, but in feature length fully fledged X-Men film, it is going to be time. And even when we head into Mutant Saga, there is obviously going to be a lot of setup before we head into that stuff. So as of right now, if you want to talk about that, all of the mutants and all of the X-Men that we are going to see throughout the multiverse saga, and we have been seeing them, we are going to get to meet them, but in a multiversal sense, with a multiversal aspect involved, with all of these iconic characters coming back with the iconic actors as well who originally played them. With we obviously have seen Patrick Stewart's Professor, which was a treat, and then obviously Hugh Jackman is bringing back the claws again. So again, as of right now, with the multiverse saga and leading up to Secret Wars, because obviously Marvel Studios is not going to stop before they have their own thing built up and to give us the mutants and to give us the X-Men. But as of right now, we are going to see X-Men, but with all of this multiverse shenanigans involved. And that is going to be pretty much it before we head into officially into the Mutant Saga. And as we head at the end of the multiverse saga further and further, I am starting to believe that the next saga is 100% is going to be the mutant one, because I think that's the direction, which is I think quite obvious and quite evident one as well. So when we head into the Mutant Saga, where Marvel Studios is for sure is going to make tweaks and changes and to add their own flavor and to add their own dimension to the X-Men storyline, and obviously there's going to be a lot of changes all over the place, and it is going to be a new template for Marvel Studios to set up this X-Men franchise or to set up this mutant saga. So given that, let's talk about the Mr. Sinister. So I think, does it actually means that Mr. Sinister is going to be the integral part and the center point and the big bad of the whole saga, or he's just gonna confine to a single film or may branch out into a couple of films, but he is not the guy in the saga? And again, this is just my thoughts speaking out loud. I think the Apocalypse can be that guy, being the central and the guy that X-Men has to go up against, and we actually get to see Age of Apocalypse branching out into a couple of films or few films throughout the, instead of just being confined to in one single film and one single storyline. Especially if we're talking about those storylines and Dark Phoenix. So I think it is just a great update, and I think as we move forward to Secret Wars to the Avengers, we have started to get a lot more updates and how Marvel Studios is perceiving their mutant saga. I think they're probably gonna start from scratch. I mean, we have like a couple of references here and there. We even have the term mutant introduced, which was a major thing, and we already have seen that reference with Wolverine in an episode of She-Hulk. And I think the Marvel Studios X-Men adaptation into the 616 continuity, it is going to be one of the interesting one, because unlike the first with Patrick Stewart, Professor X, we had the original X-Men trilogy, and then we had a sort of a prequel reboot, a scenario with Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy. But if you're talking about the MCU, where the world is pretty much introduced to all of these superheroes and to all of these great characters that they look up to, so I think it is going to be very interesting how they're going to adapt this whole mutant thing. And even with the X-Men 97, you can say there are like ties with the other heroes, but the kind of the mutants and humans going up against, I think that is a one tricky topic to actually kind of handle in the MCU specifically. And given that how crazy all of the things has been going in the continuity with then just in Celestia just there somewhere in the Indian Pacific Ocean that nobody cares to talk about. I think I really have stretched this one out and I have taken too much of your time than I should have, but again, it is just a great topic to talk about, and whenever this type of update comes, it is very fun to talk about that and to indulge the ideas and to analyze all of these aspects. So I think it is time for me to see you guys off. Well, that's it for this video guys, but before you go, you can consider to grab the subscribe button so don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel or DC update. I'm so glad that you guys got the time to hear me out. Thanks for listening to me. This is your host Ali signing off. See you in the next one.